So we have a picture taken some maybe 10 years ago of Rabbi Yosef Chaim MIMRAN. Rabbi MIMRAN wants to take us into a different world. He wants us to be able to see a little bit into the origins and teach us a little bit how to connect to that most high plane. So over here, we come to this concept, which he says is part 13, the world of silence. So he quotes here from a sefer called Reshus Chochmah, which is the concept, a very big idea that the beginning of everything is in Chochmah. He says the only way man can attach himself to Hashem is through his soul. And we live now in such a physical, material world. It's very difficult for us to find our souls. Where is it? Now look at this. He says the unmanifested is not only present in this world as silence. It also pervades the entire physical universe as space from within and without. This is just as easy to miss as silence. Everybody pays attention to the things in space. Things. But who pays attention to space itself? Now this is the concept in psychology which is called Gestalt. Gestalt is figure and ground. The ground is the space. It's actually the context in which objects appear, situations appear. So in psychology, we would say, well, difficulty is this way or that way. The mind will try to grasp this. In other words, the emptiness, try to grasp it to make nothing into something. The moment you make it into something, you have missed it. Nothingness, space, is the appearance of the unmanifested as an externalized phenomenon in a sense-perceived world. Now, one more time, it's a very difficult sentence. Nothingness. And he says nothingness is space, it's the background. All that appears, he's saying, use your mind. All that appears to you when you open your eyes or when you use your ears or different figures in a context which is called space. So nothingness, which is space, is the appearance of the unmanifested as an externalized phenomenon in a sense-perceived world. I'm not sure that I got the translation of these ideas. Let's see what else he says. That's about as much as one can say about it. Even that is kind of a paradox. It cannot become an object of knowledge. When scientists study space, they usually make it into something and thereby miss its essence entirely. Not surprisingly, the latest theory is that space isn't empty at all. It is filled with some substance. Once you have a theory, it's not too hard to find evidence to substantiate it, at least until some other theory comes along. Nothing can only become a doorway into the spiritual realm for you if you don't try to grasp or understand it. Now, I would say that this is a constant problem, trying to reach God, and then physical things come into that space, that spiritual space, and that's our natural tendency to make things physical. Space has no existence. To exist literally means to stand out. That is the figure with the ground in the background. You can understand space because it doesn't stand out. Now I'm just thinking parenthetically, look at the white background of this page. So actually the white background is nothing. Just it has one quality, and that is a color. But it's not what we look at, but instead we look at the letters. The letters say here, although in itself it has no existence, it enables everything else to exist. Silence has no existence either, nor does the unmanifested. Now, unmanifested means, once again, space. Space, empty space. So what happens to you if you withdraw attention from the object in space and become aware of space itself? Now, that is a whole thing. What is the essence of this room? Well, is it the furniture, the pictures, and so on in the room? But they are not the room. Floor, walls, and ceiling define the boundary of the room, but they are not the room either. So what is the essence of the room? Space, of course, empty space. There would be no room without it. Since space is nothing, we can say what is not there is more important than what is there. Now he's talking about Hashem. He's talking about God. God is the background to everything. But we never look at we rarely look at the background. Even though, like as an Orthodox Jew, you pray 3 times a day. And you're trying. But here he's saying that to realize that the God resides beyond the people in the group that you're praying with. Beyond the walls of the building. And any accoutrement that you might find in the building. So reading again, he says that space is nothing. God is nothing. We can say that what is not there is more important than what is there. So become aware of the space that is all around you. Don't think about it. He says feel it. Pay attention to nothing. As you do that, a shift in your consciousness takes place inside you, and here is why. Your thoughts, emotions, and feelings, which are you, there are your mind objects, can be likened to the objects in a room, such as the furniture, walls, and so on. This is a psychological idea here. The consciousness that enables your mind objects, and we talk about mind objects, that's what we focus on all the time. We have things going through our heads all the time. The mind object to be can be likened to the space that accommodates the furniture and the rest of the objects in the room. So if you withdraw attention from things, objects in your space, you automatically withdraw attention from your mind objects as well. In other words, you cannot think and be aware of space or of silence for that matter. You cannot be thinking about something, he says, and be aware of space or aware of silence. By becoming aware of the empty space around you, you simultaneously become aware of the space of no mind, of pure consciousness, the unmanifested, that is, the hidden. This is how the contemplation of space can become an opening into God's presence. In truth, space and silence are 2 aspects of the same thing, the same nothingness. They are an exhilaration, an externalization of inner space and inner silence, which is stillness. Most humans are completely unconscious of this dimension. There is no inner space, no stillness. They know the world, or they think they do, but are missing the essence that allows it to exist. It's the background, once again, it's the gestalt. Figure form. The form is nothing. Figures exist on the page. They are overlooking this sacred godly realm that we are discussing. They identify exclusively with their own physical and psychological form, unconscious of essence, since everything in this world is perishable, including humans. They live in fear. This fear causes a deep misperception of themselves, of other human beings, a distortion in their vision of the world. Now let me go back again. He said, there is no inner space for most humans, no stillness. They know the world, or think they do, but are missing the essence that allows it to exist. They are overlooking the sacred godly realm that we are discussing. They identified exclusively with their own physical and psychological form. It's a form of making things into things, unconscious of essence. What's the panemius of this? What is in fact going on? What is the gestalt? Since everything in this world is perishable, including humans, they live in fear because things come and go and they can't control what's happening because in the form, people, the world, the things, they keep changing. And even we disappear. This fear causes a deep misperception of themselves and of other human beings. They think that people are causing everything, but in fact it's all happening as a result of the background. Distortion in their vision of the world, that they only see things in the world. As one can by now see, we are only trying to give pointers to show you how you can bring the dimension of spirituality into your life, writes Rabbi MIMRAN. One should not try to understand it, since there is nothing to understand. Well, it's not possible to understand nothingness. See that the word understand is a form of making something out of nothing. Last little blurb, he says, nothing can only become a doorway into the spiritual realm for you if you don't try to grasp or understand it. Maybe this goes back on the idea that Rabbi MIMRAN, maybe I could use this. Where he says that you can limit the talk, learn to watch the talk in your head. And when you do that, you're divorcing yourself, that the talk is not you. The talk is something that you must do, but it's going on, you could either pay attention to it or not. Learning not to pay attention to it by watching it brings us to the possibility of approaching nothing.